A true martial artist wants to challenge himself against another great martial artist. I mean, this guy looks amazing on film. He's got those great kicks we talked about. He does have some grappling background. I mean, judo background. He just throws in movies straight into Jujikatami armbar and stuff like that.
Hey guys, got a fun one for you today. My guest Dan the Wolfman is back, and because of all the popularity of these Triller fights, it's what people want to see with the Paul brothers. It seems like there's a lot of interest in this AJ Von Blocker versus Michael Jai White challenge I posted last week. So Dan wants to get in on the action. The funny thing is, he even talked myself into getting in on it. And he came up with an opponent for me, and I've been transcending into total Van Damage lately, so why not? It could be a lot of fun. But anyway, we do analyze a couple of different fights. I asked Dan what he thinks of this AJ versus Michael Jai White fight, for example. We talked about some other potential matchups, and I think it's a pretty entertaining conversation just in general. But anyway, if you like this kind of content, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, let's get it out there, and let's see what this challenge that Dan proposed is all about.
The reason I wanted to talk to you today is, quite frankly, we got all these fights happening. The stupid Paul brothers are getting real fights that they don't deserve. We got AJ calling out MJW, and I, Dan the Wolfman, being a former pro MMA fighter, Daido Juko competitor, Nogi Jiu-Jitsu competitor, turned stuntman and actor, I want to call out Scott Adkins to a fight.
You want to call out Scott Adkins?
I'm calling Scott Adkins to a fight because it makes a lot more sense than a lot of these other fights that have been happening, quite frankly. Look, we are 1 year apart in age. We are about the same height. We are about the same size when he's on good vitamins. And it would look really dynamic. I mean, I know that the guy's got amazing kicks, okay? I give that to him. He's got amazing kicks. But I started in Taekwondo. I sparred MMA for over 20 years against the best. It's not like I can't read that and see that stuff coming. But he's 5'10". I'm just shy of 5'11". He's 1 year older than me, though I look older. We actually have the exact same amount of years training martial arts. I started at 9. He started at 10. He actually started in judo, and then he switched over to Taekwondo. So our backgrounds are a bit similar.
Real quick, Dan. So, yeah, I get the backgrounds are similar, and I'm sure a lot of people would probably want to see Scott Adkins fight. But here's the thing. When AJ challenged Michael Jai White, for example, it makes sense based on a lot of the stuff Michael Jai White said. I could beat Bruce Lee. I could beat the Expendables. I can teach Kimbo stuff because I am so great. And when I show him stuff and other fighters, they're just so amazed, and then they're taken aback and they're intimidated by it. See, so it makes sense somebody want to challenge Michael Jai White on those statements, but someone like Scott Adkins, who's so humble and nice, and he's even the first to admit that Jean-Claude Van Damme does better jumping helicopter kicks.
Of course, Van Damme made this kick extremely famous. I have to admit that I've never seen anyone do it quite as good as Van Damme. Had such height, such grace, such fluid movement, and such flexibility. Really, the gold standard for this kick is Van Damme.
Whereas, he doesn't put himself out there to be challenged so much, in my opinion, whereas Michael Jai White really does.
Yeah. I mean, sure, he's a nice guy and all that. But, I mean, he has said stuff about Van Damme, like he has to slow it down because that's the old style versus the faster Hong Kong style and what he does. I mean, he has said stuff like that. I mean, he's a great guy. He's a nice guy, I'm sure. But a true martial artist doesn't challenge someone just because they talk some smack against someone that's not you. A true martial artist wants to challenge himself against another great martial artist. I mean, this guy looks amazing on film. He's got those great kicks we talked about. He does have some grappling background. I mean, judo background. He just throws in movies straight into Jujikatami armbar and stuff like that. But, our striking, our hands, I honestly feel would be about the same. And it would look really great. We're about the same size. But could he really hang with a catch wrestler like me, an old school guy like me on the ground? Could he really? I just think it would make a really interesting fight to see for everyone to watch.
Here's a question, Dan. But why Scott Adkins? I know you based on like your size, your age, your experience. Why not somebody like Michael Jai White or even another YouTuber like Ramsey Dewey? Like, why would you want to settle on Scott Adkins?
Because because I want to be in a movie with him, man. What are you talking
What do
about?
you mean you want to be in a movie? You want to be in a movie or you want to be in a fight? Like, what kind of fight do you want against Scott Adkins?
Oh, I want a movie fight him. I want to be in a movie with him. I was talking to a producer. I was almost in the movie with him and Dolph Lundgren, and now I'm in talks for a European movie that's negotiating right now with Lions to maybe film in Europe. Maybe I can get in there with Dolph and do a little showdown, a little Tokyo action. But I was actually talks to him to be in his with one of the producers to maybe get in there. And Scott, you know, I want to film fight you. He's got a great podcast. I want him to come on my podcast someday. I'm not a big enough name to go on his podcast, but maybe he would be gracious enough to come on mine someday. I mean, theoretically, I
Just
guess
to
for some
clarify,
reason
Dan,
you all
just to
were
clarify,
assuming
so
I was talking about an MMA fight.
okay, so just to clarify, you don't want to challenge him to a real fight. You want to challenge him to a movie fight, unlike AJ, who really wants to challenge Michael Jai White to a real fight.
For reasons of educating the world is why I would really do this. Not necessarily because I hate him. I don't hate him. I just think he's an idiot, you know. But he's saying the wrong things, and too many people are believing what he's saying, and I think that can be dangerous.
You want to challenge Scott
well,
Adkins to a movie fight.
I mean, I'm a former fighter. I'll fight. I mean, if some theoretical Triller-like celebrity MMA event happened, if Scott Adkins wants to throw down, I won't turn down making some money just for getting punched in the face. I mean, I got punched in the face by all these UFC stars for over 20 years.
Yeah, which we covered in a video, and you guys need to watch that. I'll link it in the description. That's a really cool video with Dan's experience. Real quick though. Now,
I make it happen. I mean, I'm game for that
Dan,
too, but that wasn't.
Real quick, Dan, I see you as, you know, obviously you have striking, but I see you as a very, very highly skilled grappler, and I think anybody would say that's your advantage. Not saying Scott doesn't have good grappling or grappling in general. That's your advantage. What if this freak Triller fight, whatever, and we'll put you guys on the undercard of AJ and Michael Jai White, maybe. What if Scott Adkins is like, you know what? This actually sounds fun, but I only want to do kickboxing. Ooh. Would you do a pure kickboxing match against him?
Would I do a pure kickboxing match? Man, yeah, I would. I would do boxing even, but having said that, I'd be much better if it was Muay Thai style, so there's some clinching allowed, or at least Dutch kickboxing style with low kicks and at least one grab into a knee, like at least one knee strike, like K1, and they kept changing the rules, or like Glory does. I mean, you know, he's very athletic. He's got those kicks, and I got to be able to close and punch him and do kind of my more my MMA game. I mean, even Conor McGregor versus Mayweather, you saw a lot of clinching and getting away with holding the head and getting a quick uppercut in and stuff like that. So I would prefer rules where I'd be able to you know, implement my game plan a little bit, and even microseconds of clinching to dirty boxing or to one knee strike and things like that. I mean, American kickboxing, I guess I would see where stylistically, if you're breaking it down, you might go, oh, you know, Adkins, look at what he can do. I mean, I used to throw pretty good kicks too, and I still can. I kick really hard. But I don't know, Triller. I mean, Mike Tyson, if you want to make it happen, Scott Adkins, if you want to make it happen, let's make it happen. But quite frankly, I just, you know, I want to fight him in a movie, or, you know, he's even getting in on John Wick 4, it looks like.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I'm glad he's actually going to be like in, you know, a higher budget, real studio production, and hopefully they'll give him a big part and let him shine. I mean, I know they got Mark Dacascos in part 3, so yeah, it's cool that Scott Adkins is in part 4.
Yeah, he might get
definitely like to see him in better movies.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the guy deserves it. I mean, I would die to be an assassin in John Wick 4 as well. I have the martial arts skills. I have the tactical skills. I just went through a SWAT school. I mean, there's footage of me with, you know, sub guns to shotgun to pistol transitions and stuff. I mean, I can really do all that stuff.
Yeah,
And
you could
even,
also be like a technical coordinator on the film then. You know, like the
well,
dual role.
I know some of the 8711 action guys know who I am. In fact, I made the Fight Like John Wick video because one of the jiu-jitsu black belts that you can see in John Wick 2, he said put together all the action stuff that you think is dynamic and that is interesting. And so I made that long, little clips and then eventually a 30-minute Fight Like John Wick video. And so I'm pretty sure, I mean, even a couple of the techniques, the chop to the wrist and chop to the throat against a knife stab, that's in my footage. I was in that video, and that's used in the subway fight at the end of John Wick 2. And then ended John Wick 3 versus the smaller Indonesian guys from the raid. He kneeled down and tied one up in a pretzel. And I did the exact same thing. I mean, it looks almost exactly the same. I think I need to rewatch it. Footage from like 2014 with one of my Malaysian students.
Okay.
So I already have that. And then you got to go John Wick 3. We see all these Kotegishi wrist locks.
Sure. Yeah, a little
what
Steven
did-
Seagal action. Somebody put Dan in a movie, by the way, like a real good movie. He's been campaigning long enough, guys. He's got a good look. He's got skills.
I'm
Put him in a
ready
movie.
for it.
But
Speaking of,
yeah, you got the ponytail, you got the Steven Skull thing going. But going back to
Scott Adkins did the best. He did the best interview ever with my daddy. It is not easy.
I loved his interview with Steven Skull because they were both really respectful towards one another. And you could tell Scott Adkins, like, he appreciates, especially the early work that Seagal did, as I think we all should. Let's appreciate the martial artist and the movie guy. Whether everything in his personal life is true or not, I mean, that's not what I'm focusing on. I'm focusing on what
It's not
I actually
easy
like
to get a
about
good
him.
interview with Steven, with my daddy. It's
Yeah,
not
but
easy.
going back to Scott, though, would you, and I hope this gets his attention, as far as like, yeah, you guys should be in a movie fight together. But going back to Scott, would you at least agree with me that, and I think a lot of people, and I've told a couple of people, hey, man, Dan the Wolfman is challenging Scott Adkins. What do you guys think? Would you agree that he's too nice and humble and respectful of a guy that I don't really think anyone should challenge him to a real fight? Because he doesn't put himself out there. He's not saying I'm better than these guys. I could beat these guys. He's a great martial artist, and he knows he's a movie star. I'm pretty sure in his own mind he probably thinks he could take care of himself, which he should be able to. But he doesn't put himself out there to be challenged.
No, he's a nice, humble guy. But I mean, any martial artist that trains 35 years and they're starting to age like me and him has to wonder deep down inside, like, am I just a film fighter? Is it just high kicks? Or, Johnny Cage wants to go test himself. Like, I mean, everybody inside wants to know, like, I think I could do that. I wonder if, oh my God, before I get 50, before I get a little too old, I wonder what it would be like. All this celebrity boxing stuff's going on. A celebrity MMA or kickboxing happened. I mean, I'm sure Scott deep down.
I mean, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I mean, there's something in it for him, more to prove to himself, with the challenge than anything.
MMA fighters typically don't hate each other. We have more in common with our opponent than we do with the drunks in the arena. We all have been through the trials and tribulations and turmoils. I mean, you go back to Theodore Roosevelt's quote, "The man in the arena," and I mean, that very much applies. So either way, I think it would be dynamically, visually interesting, whether it was a real fight or a film fight with Scott Adkins. I think I would make it look really interesting. There's a dichotomy of styles going on. Whatever happens. So, I'd love to, I mean, who wouldn't want to tune in? If Michael Jai White and Scott Adkins were fighting on a celebrity MMA event, I mean, I don't think Joe Rogan's really going to go against me, but, he's got stupid FU money. And these guys got money, and so why would they risk it? But, like, again, if you've been a martial artist for 35 years, you kind of want to test yourself at least once. I mean, Dolph Lundgren boxed Oleg Taktarov.
That's true. That's a good point. Real quick, Dan, speaking of Scott Adkins versus Michael Jai White, and I know they fought each other in a few movies, Undisputed 2, some other movies. Like, who do you think would win between Scott Adkins and Michael Jai White, honestly?
That's a good question. I think, it could go either way. I think strength goes to Michael Jai White. I mean, I've felt him I felt his explosive initial power. I think he's non-telegraphic. I think he's a real striker. They both have a bit of a judo background and kind of understand how to defend takedowns to an extent, against a guy in a bar. With big guys like that, and usually Michael Jai White's a little bit bigger. Scott kind of goes up and down depending on rule.
Sure.
The striking might be a bit even. I think Scott has a little bit faster speed on his kicks. But whoever ends up on top, grapples happen, clinches happen, and people trip from kicks and stuff. Whoever ends on top, the guy on bottom doesn't have the training. Scott does a lot of submissions in his movies. But is that someone really trained in jiu-jitsu or just doing an armbar or a triangle choke? Whoever ends up on bottom against someone like me or even against each other, they're in a world of hurt. People, that jiu-jitsu stuff, that catch wrestling stuff, they have no idea what it's like when a 250-pound black belt gets on top of you.
Yeah, it's a little different.
You just have no clue.
In trouble. Real quick, Dan, one more question. AJ Von Bacher versus Michael Jai White. What's your opinion?
I haven't seen. AJ's a lot smaller. Come on.
He's Scott Adkins size.
I know what I felt with MJW.
He's going to be Scott Adkins size, pretty much.
Adkins blows up to a good 220 himself sometimes.
No, the biggest he was like 190 and Undisputed 3, and he was complaining that was almost too big because when he's doing all those flips and stuff, is a lot on his joints. So Scott Adkins, like he says, about 5'10", being as lean as he is, he's maybe 190, but when you see him outside of films, he's like maybe 170,
Yeah, I know you said AJ had some fight he had on video in Mexico or something. I haven't watched it. I need to watch it. There's all this talk about like sparring and stuff from him. Is there real Dutch kickboxing sparring when they're throwing really hard? I'd like to see it. But they're not the same size like me and Adkins are at number one. Would Adkins want to fight me in a celebrity thing? Well, I was a professional fighter, but that was 20 years ago. It makes it a little more interesting. I know what I felt from MJW. And I felt that the man had understood explosive initial acceleration and non-telegraphic power. And that is something most people, I've trained with martial artists for 35 years. That's something most people don't have. So I'm not sure if AJ really wants that smoke.
Well, basically, I guess you can't really form an opinion based on, you just don't know enough about AJ, essentially. But you do think highly of Michael Jai White, obviously.
At least as a striker, yeah, like I said, but that's different than having the experience of a real pro MMA fight or amateur MMA fight. If it's less than amateur, that's less than amateur. It doesn't really mean a whole lot versus a guy who just casually trains twice a week, okay? And all these fake tubers out there, they're just trying to fool these teeny boppers that don't understand any better. There's a real difference. You don't go into rooms like I did sparring all these champions or Akiyama or Okami. There's a difference between hanging and giving these guys trouble in a room than a guy less than amateur. There's just so many different levels to this game.
Sure.
There's amateur MMA, amateur kickboxing. There's professional and like that other stuff and beef stuff and dojo matches and stuff. That's so far below that it doesn't really mean much. Now, having said that, MJW and Scott Adkins don't even have that. MJW had a bit of point karate-ish type stuff when he was way younger. He's 53 now.
Yeah, he's up there. He's like Mike Tyson's age, and he's mentioned fighting Mike Tyson even, which I think would be an interesting match because here's the thing. He's got nothing to lose. He might get hurt, but the thing is, you lose against Mike Tyson in boxing, it's like, if Mike Tyson beat the current heavyweight champ, there's no shame. It's freaking Mike Tyson, 50 plus or not. It's Mike Tyson beating you. It's not a big deal. So I think he would actually fight Mike Tyson based on that. It's just like, hey, man, Mike Tyson, of course he's going to win.
Well, I've trained a lot with Master Rafael Cordero, who's been teaching, coaching, cornering Mike Tyson. I would fight Mike Tyson for a lot of money.
Would you? Really?
I would really like him to
It would just be boxing. You can't use your catch wrestling.
I'd rather him not hit me in the liver. Like if I could put that on the contract, no liver shots, just hit me in the face and knock me out, Mike, please. Like I'll take a cross to the body for Mike. I'll take a punch to the face, a leaping left hook, and take a nice nap and take the brain damage for a couple $1 million. I mean, I'm willing to do that. But when he rips the body, if you see him and Mr. Jefe Cordero fought himself.
Yeah,
He's got the body bunker armor on. When you see Mike rip to the liver, I quit. I heard through the little screen on my cell phone. I heard. So Mike's never gonna lose it. When you're at that level, Mike still got it, man.
Oh, speaking of which, since I brought it up, do you think Michael Jai White would even last a couple rounds with Mike Tyson? Because he thinks, and he said in an interview that he thinks he would win.
Like, why would I not?
Okay, so here's the next question. Do you think he would win?
Yeah, of course I think I would win.
Okay, you can't kick him.
No, I know.
Which, we'll have to go with the video.
Oh, MJW, did he really say that?
Yeah, he literally did on DJ Vlad. He said he thinks he would win, but he also said he would find it comical if Mike Tyson just beat his ass because it's Mike Tyson. So,
dude, if he whooped my ass, I would laugh at the whole scenario.
He acknowledges that, it's not a big deal if he loses, but he thinks he could win, which, I guess there's no point in getting in the ring with him unless you at least thought you could win.
Yeah, I say Mike Tyson, second or third round KO.
Sure.
He's gonna slip inside that jab and double up hook to the liver, hook to the head. Boom, maybe a cross falls him on the way down and finito. He won't. You think you can play karate spar people and he takes some hits, and I'm not saying he's not a tough guy, but there's a big difference when a guy like Tim Sylvia or Ben Rothwell, big Fabricio Verdum, big heavyweights hit me, or Rampage giving me a hook when he was a big heavy guy that cut down that we discussed on your video. Like there's a big difference between that power and even a guy trains 3 days a week at even a Kyokushin school. There's a big difference between how many pounds per square inch a professional fighter can hit. And these guys are like, well, I bounced for a bunch of years, or I've been in 100 street fights or whatever. You got no idea what a real professional hits like. Okay?
I'm pretty sure they'd rather keep it that way. I wouldn't want to have any idea what that feels like.
Tyson's above them, even at 53 years old. If you haven't been hit, oh my God, I'm spirit walking from a jab. These guys have never experienced that. Okay.
Who's experienced that outside of yourself? Sylvester Stallone, he got hit hard by Ernie Shavers preparing for Rocky 3. He was out and I think vomiting in the bathroom for a long time before he was able to crawl back.
And Dolph put him in the hospital.
Dolph put him in too. So Stallone,
the toughest guy,
has experienced this stuff. I don't know if he regrets it or not. It makes for funny stories if he looks back on it. But,
going back to Scott, I mean, Sly is obviously, watch your video is great. How tough is Sly? I mean, he's obviously tough. Okay.
Yeah, big time.
Going back to Scott Adkins, though, I do want to say I love the movie The Debt Collector. I thought it was hilarious. I love the I like the Universal Soldier movies. I like the Undisputed. I really like the Undisputed movies. I've talked to that director, who's a legit karate expert.
Sure, yeah.
I've talked to him quite a few times. Yeah, and I'd love to work with him as well. But I want to give him credit. His podcast, The Art of Action. I haven't watched them all, but I really love them. With JJ Perry, who I know, an 8711 guy, just directing a vampire movie right now. We're finishing up. I just wrote JJ last night and shared with our podcast. I thought he might actually enjoy it. These guys are martial artists. Like he was a Taekwondo guy first, JJ Perry.
Sure.
With JJ Perry, Scott Hargraves, excellent with Jeff Speakman. You get the best ever interview with my daddy. I mean, I'm from Michigan. I'm just saying, if you look, it's very possible. It's very possible.
Oh, so that's not just a joke. You think you're Steven Seagal's son?
Let's go on Morty or one of those shows and get a DNA test.
Yeah,
Steven, I want to train with you and get my 5th black belt in Tenshin Aikido from you, Steven. So Sensei Seagal, let's get together and make it happen.
That'd be cool, man. You might have to go out to Russia to do it, but that'll be cool.
I'll do it. Privet, my friend. But Scott Adkins, are you going to accept the fight? One way or the other, Scott Adkins. are you going to accept my challenge to fight me, whether film or some crazy Triller celebrity MMA kickboxing card in a movie, which is what my call out was.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know
yeah.
why everyone assumed it was otherwise. Or and I would love you to come on my podcast someday. He does have a great podcast, and I'm just starting, but we've been hitting it out of the park so far. And anyone that hasn't watched it yet, I think you coming on my podcast was a lot of fun. We talked about all the great 80s and 90s action stars. We recommended some movies people haven't seen before. And so I think everyone.
Yeah,
should
you
check
have a
that
great
out.
podcast, man. I know you only did a few episodes so far. I had a lot of fun. I think someone like Scott Adkins would have a lot of fun. Someone like Michael Jai White would have a lot of fun on there. You're a fun guy to talk to. So, yeah, hopefully you'll get the bigger name guys. You know,
You seem to
coming
be a
out.
promoter now.
I
if-
I should just be a
if-
fight promoter. You know,
if
I got
we're
the,
doing a celebrity MMA and kickboxing event, and maybe I know some guys maybe that will sponsor this, and we got we got John Alite calling out Gotti Jr., and I got my friend Phil Baroni calling out Gotti the Third for MMA. I mean, I have guys interested in doing some big fights right now. I mean, so if we put some celebrity thing with John Alite and Phil Baroni and Gotti Jr. and Gotti the Third, and maybe we got AJ versus MJW, we got Dan the Wolfman versus Scott Atkins. Are there any other big matches? You would like to see
there's
on
a
this
big
card?
match. Remember, the Viking Samurai fight promotion actually started with Mayweather versus Rokas from the martial arts journey. I threw that out there. So, yeah, Viking Samurai should just do a fight promotion, man. I got some good fight ideas, but we should make it happen, man.
I think this is fun, and you know what? It's a crazy world. The world, whatever, it's changed, and now we got. I thought they were the same guy with different names, pretending to cross-dress or whatever. I didn't know they were brothers. The Paul brothers fighting. I won't even pay to watch the last. I won't even fall for this stuff. But it is an interesting world, and anything can happen. And I don't think Joe Rogan and Wesley Snipes are really going to fight. I don't think Joe Rogan.
I would have
really
loved to
wants
see that back in the
to
day.
fight me. I mean, if he did, I'm willing to fight Joe Rogan as well, or have him on my podcast someday because I'm taking over people.
Yeah, no, cool, man.
Scott, work with me. I want to fight you in a movie. Guys, 8711, I've been dying for years now, making these videos even when I was in Japan, at the request of some of your guys that were, the jiu-jitsu guys that knew me. Like, don't show me, don't push me out. Let me get in there as an assassin and John Wick for it. I got the gun fu, I got the jiu-jitsu. Let's do it,
Hell, have you and Scott Atkins team up on that role, man.
We should be working as a team. So like I or Scott drives him to go this way to escape as they're shooting, and boom, I'm right there with an Arimi Nagi taking down John Wick, and then we get a jiu-jitsu gun fu battle on the ground.
Yeah, you got it all mapped out, man. Seems like a good idea to me. So yeah, Scott, make it happen, man. Guys, if you know Scott Atkins or can get in contact with them, throw this video his way. He'll probably be amused at the very least. Maybe Dan could be his partner in John Wick or another movie. So
yeah, hashtag 8711, hashtag Triller, Mike Tyson. Let's make it happen one way or the other.
you got to admit though, just the name Viking Samurai fight promotion. That's a really good name for fight promoting.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not sure about Mayweather and Rokas, but I think Scott Atkins and me could definitely throw down.
And AJ and Michael Jai White, of course.
AJ and MJW, and we got John Alite calling out Gotti Jr.
I mean,
Phil
what the hell?
in boxing. We got an MMA fight, UFC fighter, Bellator fighter, Phil Baroni versus John Gotti the Third.
Let me get in on the fun. Throw Viking Samurai out there. I'll do a celebrity boxing match. And just straight boxing for 3 months or do kickboxing.
We got an exclusive here. Who are you challenging? Who do you want to take on?
I'm putting my name out there to any big YouTube guy or celebrity or movie fighter dude or whatever, ex-Bellator, whatever. I think it would be a lot of fun, but it'd only be worth my time if it's a bigger name, obviously, so I could blow the channel up and get my name out there.
You know what?
I really just challenge myself because, again, I'm not doing it because I don't like any of the guys. I'm doing it more for me to challenge myself. I would have fun with it, and I think that'd be interesting. I'm pretty sure the audience would love to see it.
You know what? Size and weight-wise, I know who you could take on.
Who?
Jason Statham. I plugged him in our interview. Purple belt in jiu-jitsu, got real martial arts background, was a competitive diver.
Statham is a great
Guys,
martial artist. So, okay,
weight
this is a good
wise,
idea. Let me just put this out there. Jason Statham, I think you're cool. I'm a fan. I like your movies. I think you're the only one that really took it after Van Damme and Seagal as far as being in better action martial art movies. So just out of respect for the challenge, I'll throw that out there for fun. It's not because I don't like you. It's because I actually like you and think you're highly skilled. So there you go. There's a challenge. Thanks, Dan.
yeah, I'm serious. I watched Homefront the other night, and that was written by Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So here's the thing. I guess the title of this video is now is Scott Adkins and Jason Statham challenged.
There we go.
Yeah,
Boom, son.
Yeah. Yeah. Or at least put me in a film with Jason Statham. But again, the Triller match, that would get a lot of interest, you know? It really would. People would want to see Jason Statham against anyone. Michael Jai White against anyone. Scott Adkins against anyone. Yeah, let's start the Viking Samurai fight promotion.
I always thought MMA instead of 3 5-minute rounds should have been 5 3-minute rounds, you know, so there's less risk of groundwork and stuff. So, I mean, if Adkins wants to go 5 3s with me, whether that's like kickboxing rules, Dutch, or at least like glory style rules or MMA rules, I'm down. We can do it.
Okay, yeah, let's hopefully these comments blow up and it gets some of these guys' attention because again, man, I think it would be exciting. I think people would like to see it, and I'm doing it more out of respect. AJ, not so much, but you are doing it more out of respect. I'm doing it more out of respect. AJ is doing it more to prove a point. But his opponent is a little different because of some of the stuff that he had said and claimed. So, but
I mean,
anyway,
maybe I'll fight Rampage and Bellator. Rampage Jackson stole my howl. And then he even had the audacity, and that's when I first met him, was I called him out online, and then I met him a few days later when I flew to California at Tito Ortiz's grappling event, which I went against Mayhem Miller, and I armbarred 310-pound Scary Jerry. But anyway, Rampage had the audacity in Vigilante Diaries to play the character Wolfman.
Really?
Rampage Jackson, what's up, man?
Would you challenge Rampage Jackson to a Triller fight?
Interviews.
Would you challenge Rampage to a Triller fight?
He's getting pretty slow and plotting. Yeah, I might. Yeah, if the money's right, we'll do it. If the money's right, we'll do it.
Wolfman versus Rampage. Okay, another potential match.
I would see Rampage versus MJW as well.
Oh, yeah. There's so many good matchups. That would be amazing. That would definitely be cool, too.
Man, we got like 2 cards booked already.
We're going to be
ready to go with this
2024, man, with all these matchups.
Thanks, Viking Samurai. Thanks for having me. Guys, tune into our podcast we had on my channel, Dan the Wolfman. Reach out to Scott Adkins. Let's make something happen. And the 8711 and John Wick guys, come on. Just let me, shoot a couple rounds and get wicked.
Yeah, sounds good. All right. Thanks, Dan. Always fun having you on here.